Hey everybody. Today, well, I guess tomorrow technically is Labor Day, but it's Labor Day weekend here in the States. And I thought I'd talk about labor. My wife is pregnant, so she'll be going into labor, I think, in March or so. And what is labor? What does the word labor mean? To labor at something. We define it within ourselves typically as just work. Like, I mean, some of you probably understand the full definition, but most of you probably don't. So most of you probably just have some kind of association with the word. But if you look at how most people live the word labor, it's just going to work, getting a paycheck, so you can do some things that you like to do, have some things that you like to have, try to enjoy yourself. But if you think about it, most of your life is spent around focusing on how to make money. And so labor becomes the way that you make money to survive. And within that, part of your survival is entertaining yourself and trying to relax from time to time and recharge, so to speak, so you can go back and try to make more money. I just heard a really big splash back there in the pond. So what are you doing with that time? Like, what are you doing with that labor? You're just like a cog in a wheel, turning a machine, and you get a little bit of a reward for that. And what do you do with that reward? You just use it for a feeling, a temporary feeling. And you think that you're creating a life for yourself. You think that I'm making money and I'm putting my kids in school, and then they're going to be able to go to college, and we're saving up for that, maybe, and they'll have a good life. And really all they're going to do is just repeat what you did. It's like, think about it. You're making money so that you can put your kids in school and they can go to college and get a job to make money, so they can have kids and they can put them in school and they can get jobs and they can make money and have kids and get jobs and so forth. And then eventually maybe you'll retire, but most people aren't even going to be able to, quote, retire with pension and all that stuff. I heard something that the average American can't even put together $500 in an emergency cash, which is fucked. And so you have all these people every day doing labor. I mean, not everybody's doing it in terms of working a job, obviously, but what are they doing with it? What's the result of it? What's the point of it? Just to survive, just to be able to wake up another day and do the same thing over and over again. And I mean, how many of you wake up in the morning and you genuinely feel good about waking up, like excited for what you're going to do that day? I don't mean you're telling yourself. I remember there was a period of time where I had to tell myself, today's going to be a great day. Like today. And I just remember one time I was feeling so bad. This was years and years ago. And I was just feeling so bad, and I woke up and I was like, today's gonna be a great day. But I was like trying to program myself, like, today's gonna be a great day. But I was like, I didn't feel it. I was like, today's gonna be a great day. And I just got out of bed. It helped. But it wasn't until I'm gonna give you guys my perspective on how to turn your labor into something that's not just something you do to survive, but something that becomes meaningful, where you can actually feel really good on a daily basis about what you're doing. And so your labor doesn't ever feel like a chore. And I mean, there may be from time to time you kind of feel like there's a thing you have to do where it's like, I don't want to do that, but I need to do it. And I mean, that's kind of a part of the system that we're in. There's going to be some things. So I'm not trying to give you you're going to feel bliss in every moment. Like, I'm not saying that's not possible, but I wouldn't make that the focus of what you're trying to do. I would let that come when it comes, right? So what I've found is that the more I study and align myself with principles, and I'm specifically referring to the destiny principles, okay? If you want to think of it like a religion, then think of it like a religion. Just study it, okay? If you don't want to think of it like a religion and you just want to think of it as like you're just studying something, then just think of it that way. It doesn't really matter. So for all the Christians and the people who are like, oh, well, you don't believe in God or religion or this, yeah, it's my religion. How about that? We'll just say that for now, okay? And it incorporates all the principles that the Christians and everybody says that they adhere to. It just gets rid of all the stuff that's irrelevant, all the excuses, all of the higher power bullshit where you don't have to take full responsibility and you always have some kind of excuse, right? No praying required. So, hey, that's pretty nice, right? You don't even have to do that. But you do have to forgive yourself. You do have to change in moments where you see what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, according to the principles that you are attempting to live by. So the prayer becomes an inward prayer, if that makes sense. It becomes a, instead of asking God for something, you are giving it to yourself. You're just saying like, hey, I'm going to change this. I don't need someone else to magically change it for me. And yet there will still be times where things happen that you can't explain. And there will be a temptation to be like, it's the universe, it's God. It's like, no, you just can't explain how you created it. That's fine. Let it be. Doesn't matter. You don't need to explain every single little thing. What you need to be clear on is your principles that you are going to live by and what you are willing to accept and allow. So the things that you can't explain, the things that happen that you're not aware of why, don't worry about those things for now. Just focus on what you can affect. And within that, look at what you can take responsibility for. And it helps to look at the world and look at the big picture and look at all the fucked up stuff that's going on and say, okay, I want to take responsibility for all of that. But then also being honest with yourself that you can't take responsibility for all of that right now. Meaning you can't have an effect on that bigger picture in a very large way. It's not like you're the president, you can sign the law, right? You could be that at some point, but that's not going to happen tomorrow if you don't even feel like getting out of bed today, okay? Because if you're the president, you have to just get out of bed. It can't even be a thought, okay? You just gotta, it's like you gotta go. How do you get yourself there, right? Whether it's the president or whether it's just getting to a point where you can have a significant impact in this world. Well, then you gotta look at now, what are you participating in right now in your life that's like, would be a problem if you were in that higher position of authority and responsibility and so forth. Getting out of bed, for example, and being ready to go and do things and not make excuses, and not participating in feeling depressed, not participating in feeling bad and feeling angry and feeling sad and all this stuff. It's okay if you fall down and you skin your knee, just like I tell my daughter. You fell down, okay, are you okay? Is everything all right? Okay, let's just sit here for a moment, let's breathe, all right? Okay, is everything okay? All right, now it's time to stop crying, all right? It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel bad for a moment. But then when you start participating in it, when you start thinking about the fact that you're crying and you start going into it and all of that, just same thing with depression. It's okay to feel bad for a moment, but then you're like, how do I resolve this? How do I move myself out of this? How do I get up, go on a walk, do what you need to do? Look at what's going on with your diet. Why are you feeling bad every morning? Like I used to feel bad every morning when I would wake up. Yeah, because I was fucking eating potato chips and sandwiches and shit, like at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock and then having a second one at midnight and going to bed and like waking up and feeling bad. Like I don't have that anymore because I don't do that anymore. Those are simple things. But then there's the other things like when you're sitting and you're thinking about something or someone and you're dwelling on it and you're repeating some story in your head and then you go and you live in a certain way according to that. You got to forgive those points too. when you, like, I saw someone the other day on Facebook saying like, oh, I hate to admit it, but I keep falling for unstable women. And I'm like, dude, you're not falling for unstable women. You're unstable. That's the definition. It's like, if you're falling for something, you're fucking stupid. That's what it means. Like, oh, you fell for that. You're dumb. Educate yourself. Look at what you're actually participating in. Why are you wanting and attracting and looking for these types of women? Why are you not looking for women or a woman who has principles or who's open to that? Look for that. Stop looking for this immediate gratification, because it's probably something to do with sex or some kind of emotional need that he's looking for, right? But this is a perfect example where it's like, it's not a big picture thing. It's not like, oh, how do I change the money system or the fucking, get everybody food or something. Like, it's just a simple thing. But if you're participating in that, you're never going to be stable in order to affect those things. So for me, looking at the big picture has helped me have a direction to go in, and then a way of looking at, well, if I'm going to be here, then this can't be a problem. This can't be a problem. I can't do that. I can't participate in this. And so always bringing myself back to, well, where am I going? What am I actually here to do? And then putting everything else that's happening in my life into context. Like, so when I look at the big picture, then I look at, well, how am I going to educate my kids? It has to fit into that big picture. So the work that I put into educating my kids and that my wife, Katie, puts into educating our kids is in alignment with where we want to go, our vision, our purpose, our principles. So coming back to the point of labor, let's just look at the education of our children, for example. Part of that education of our children is reading to them at night, spending time with them, playing, explaining things to them, doing things with them, showing them things. Education is not sitting in a classroom. That's the image that people have in their head when I say education. It's like sitting in a classroom, school. That's not education. That can be a part of education potentially, but the way it's done in schools is not effective, as you can plainly see. So think of all the work that's being put in, like every teacher that exists, that goes to class every day to teach, and all the kids that go there, all that labor that's being done with minimal result. It's like a very basic level of result that just kind of keeps society sort of moving. But what it really does is create a society of future adults who just comply with what they perceived authority says. That's all it is. And you don't really get any real value out of that labor. All of that labor, if you add up all of the labor that's happening on a daily basis in the education system, it's a lot of labor for the result being so minimal, versus the amount of labor that we put in, Katie and I individually, which is a lot, to educate our children. The result is phenomenal. So you're gonna have to put in the work either way. There is no easy way. There's no short way. There's no, well, I want this great result, so I'm just not going to do anything, right? It's like, no, you're still going to have to put in work. But what is your work contributing to? Is it contributing to make the world best for everybody? And really, that's the one overarching principle that subsumes all religious principles. If there's value in a religious principle, if it's not in alignment with what's best for all, then it's not valuable. But what's best for all is the key, because logically, how can anything be better than that? Now, the objection of, I don't know, how do you determine what's best for all and all that? I mean, that's a conversation, but that's a process of coming to understanding. But it's not a debate. There's a difference between, okay, I don't know how to do something, versus debating the value of it, right? Like, imagine if I was like, hey, you want your kids to, have a nice, cool looking bed. Why don't you build it? And you're like, oh, I don't see why you can't build a bed. It's not possible. I'm like, yeah, you can. I'm like, well, I don't know how. Here's how you do it. Oh, okay. Oh, now I know how to do it. Okay, I'll do it. So usually people are objecting because they just don't know how to fucking do it. which is the whole point. Like we're saying, people don't have an effective education. Because if they were educated effectively, part of that education would be how to create a world that's best for all, how to make decisions that are best for all. And that's constantly what we're impulsing and explaining and guiding our children by, is make decisions always in a way that's best for all. You're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are okay. That's part of the learning process, to learn the point. It's not like, well, if I don't already know how to do what's best for all, then I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not even going to think about it. Like, no. Because then you're by default doing everything the opposite, like doing everything not best. Just start trying to do it. Start trying to figure it out. The key within that is going to be using a techno-tutor, because the problem you're going to run into is all these patterns and definitions of words primarily that are ingrained within you, so that when you look at a situation, you're not really looking at it in a way that's best for all, firstly, because you're trying to impose definitions onto the situation that aren't quite right. Like, I'm looking for an example that everybody could relate to. It's challenging because any example I give, it's like you have to really have already kind of looked at these points to really get it. But like, an example would be the word purpose. I think that's a really good example, because people look at the purpose of their life, but the way you define purpose, within that definition is a sort of feeling that goes along with it. And it's really, your purpose is you searching for some kind of feelings, some kind of satisfaction of a feeling that you're searching for. Instead of it being a point of, I'm looking at what my purpose should be according to what is required. So then I align what I do, my labor, with what is required, and my purpose becomes to labor in a way that is best for everybody. It's very simple, but most people have defined purpose within themselves, not on purpose, but just because they never questioned it, and this definition was given to them by our world, by parents, media, education system, so forth. They've defined purpose as kind of a way to pursue happiness. I was having a great conversation with someone yesterday. We had a really long meeting with this guy who lives here in this town. He's like a very prominent person in the town. Like, owns the real estate company, the title company, law firm. Is responsible for a lot of the land deals that go on out here, and in politics, all kinds of stuff. And it's really cool talking to him, because I was introducing some of these points that I'm talking about right now to him. And he was making this point of, we were talking about pursuit of happiness, and he was like saying how it's total bullshit. I mean, this is a guy who's very successful, who, when you talk to him, he's a happy person. I never see him upset, depressed, nothing. He's always like on, right? And I guess that's just being a man. Stable, right? But he was like, yeah, happiness is not something you search for, you seek, you try to get. It's just a byproduct of doing things in a certain way that add value to your life, other people's lives, and then happiness is like the byproduct of that. And I was like, yes. It's so obvious. And you see people who are actually doing things, they understand that, and the people who are searching don't. The people who we blame the most for the condition of the world are, in a way, the least to blame, because they don't have the numbers. The numbers are on the side of the people who are searching. Most people are searching. The people who are actually doing stuff are not searching. They're just fucking doing stuff. They're just directing things. They just don't know how to educate everybody effectively. They don't know how to bring everyone up to a point of equality with just doing stuff instead of searching for something. So their only option as well, if they want to have the stuff they want, is just to fulfill that searching desire for everyone else, and just give you a bunch of shit that allows you to feel like you're fulfilling that search, when really but you're never going to fulfill it, because your starting point hasn't changed. You're still searching. And the real difference in labor, in terms of what I've come to live and understand as labor versus what it was before, it was a way in the past to just search for happiness. Now it is a way to create what is best, and the happiness will come. I'm not worried about that. When you create the right environment, you'll feel happy. When you're around people that genuinely care, like when we go to events with all of our distributors, it's an amazing environment. It's so much fun. There's no drama. We're just having fun. And we're challenging each other, like hardcore. And there's still no drama. It's like, yes, okay, you're right. I am accepting that limitation. What do you suggest I do? Or what do you, well, let me ask you, like, what are you afraid of? Oh, well, I guess I'm afraid of that. Yeah, okay, so why? Let's forgive that point, right? It's like real challenging. The stuff that you would think friends would do for each other, right? And no one's taking it personally because we're not coming from that starting point of, I need to get a feeling from you. It's more like, I want to support you to move up, to create shit, to do stuff. Like, I want to do stuff, and I can do more together with you if you're an equal. So I would suggest over this Labor Day time to examine that word labor. Put it in a circle. Put the word labor and write down all the things that come up in relation to that. Put that into your Techno Tutor. Go watch the video that Mitchell Snyder on YouTube, that Mitch made about using word webs. I think it was called Using Word Webs to Create a World That's Best for All or something like that. But you can find it. It's like the second to last video he uploaded, I think. It's in there. It's a great video, but it explains, he uses a different example, a different word. But you can do that if you watch that video, and then you just do the same process with the word labor. Do the same process with the word purpose. And start deconstructing these words and reconstructing them inside of you so that you live them differently, because you'll never get happiness by pursuing it. You'll never get love by pursuing it. You'll get happiness and you'll get love by giving it. So let your labor be giving of yourself, of your time, of your limited time, using that limited time through effort to create an environment in this world. Start around yourself and then expand outward. Create a world that's best for everybody. Because that's the only way you're ever going to have those things, is by giving it to others. And don't demand that others give it to you first. That's the world we live in. Everyone's demanding everyone give to them first. Well, guess what happens? The government comes and says, I am Santa Claus, and I will give you everything you want. Just give up your freedoms. Give up your rights. You don't need them, because I will make you safe and secure. You will feel secure in your desires. Fuck security. Fuck safety. Okay? I'm safe right now. I'm sitting here. Why should I be afraid? Why should I desire safety and security? You're already safe and secure. You're here. Don't do stupid things. Don't do things that don't make common sense. Create a world where nobody has any desire to take anything from anyone else, because no one feels insecure. Why? Because they have what they need. But they've been educated properly. If you just create a government program that gives people stuff and says give up your rights and freedom, you're still creating insecurity, because you haven't educated a person to live freely. So it's two things. Everyone having their basic needs, creating a system not based on lack, but based on abundance, where everyone has what they need, and educating everyone to learn how to live responsibly and to use their time here and their labor to always contribute in a way that's best for all, because that's where you're going to find happiness, is within that.